There was a small village surrounded by green hills and farms. Princess Amina lived in this little village. Her father was King Akim, who ruled over the village. Amina was the king's oldest daughter and was known as a kind and gentle princess who treated the villagers well. However, Amina had a difficult issue she struggled with her whole life. She had very strong body odor that smelled quite bad. Even when Amina was a young girl, she smelled much worse than the other children. The bad smell got worse as Amina grew up. It was a pungent, unpleasant smell that trailed behind her wherever she walked. As Princess Amina grew into a young woman, the people in the village started treating her differently. They tried to stay away from Amina because of her very bad smell. Behind her back, some villagers made unkind jokes and comments about how stinky the princess was. Some mothers with children would quickly pull their little ones inside their houses when they saw Amina walking down the dusty village road. The young girls who used to be Amina's friends would turn and go the opposite direction to avoid talking with her. This made Amina very sad. There were many young men in the village and neighboring kingdoms who wished to court Amina because she was pretty and the king's daughter. However, as soon as they got within 6 feet of her, they were driven away by her odor. They decided not to pursue her despite Amina's beauty and royal title. And Amina cried many tears over feeling so alone. It was a hot, vibrant summer day in the village. Princess Amina was up in her castle bedroom, fanning herself. She left her shutters open, hoping to catch a breeze. Then Amina heard lively sounds floating up from the village square, joyous drum beating and people laughing. She leaned out her window and saw people dancing around a bonfire, celebrating the summer feast day. Amina felt a stirring of excitement. She thought maybe she could sneak out of the palace and observe the festivities without being noticed. People seemed so happy and distracted by the dancing. So, Princess Amina quietly left the palace and tiptoed to the edge of the village square. For a few moments, no one realized she had joined them. Amina stood in the shadows, watching wistfully as girls her age spun fast in their colorful skirts. But soon a breeze blew, carrying Amina's unfortunate odor through the crowd. People wrinkled their noses, glancing around to find the source of the stench. Then the drum beats and dancing halted as all eyes turned toward the lonely princess. Mouths fell open in shock before twisting into unpleasant sneers. People doubled over gagging and whispered behind their hands while pointing at Amina. The carefree joy of moments before had vanished. Amina's eyes filled with humiliated tears. Amina felt utterly embarrassed and ashamed after being ridiculed while dancing at a village gathering. With tears flooding her eyes, she ran away from the crowd and took cover behind some bushes to hide. She crouched down, trembling behind a tree, hoping no one would find her. But then she heard the distant, steady beat of a drum growing louder and getting closer. Fearfully, she peered through the leaves to see who was approaching. To her surprise, it was a smiling young man from a neighboring village, cheerfully playing a hand drum as he walked directly toward her hiding spot. When he reached her, he stopped playing and kindly asked, "Why did you stop dancing back there? You looked so joyful and free while you were dancing." Amina was stunned that this stranger had followed her all the way here, especially since he was able to detect her unusual scent. She replied incredulously, You can smell me, and yet you still came looking for me here." "Everyone back in my village teases me and laughs at my dancing." The young man responded gently, "Don't worry about them. I think you're a wonderful dancer. Please ignore their unkind words and keep dancing with happiness and freedom." Amina was surprised by the young man's kind words. She realized he truly didn't care about her differences. Comforted, she decided she would ignore the cruel taunts of her neighbors and dance freely just as she wished. The young man started playing a cheerful, upbeat rhythm on his hand drum. Amina was unsure at first, but after a moment, she began swaying lightly in time with the music. The stranger's smile grew even wider as he watched her start to move. He picked up the pace of his drumming, playing faster while keeping his eyes fixed warmly on Amina's. Amina could feel that he was truly seeing her, not just her outward appearance, but her heart and soul. For the first time she could remember, she felt completely accepted just as she was. This realization freed her spirit. She let go of her self-consciousness and began dancing fluidly, her body unfurling into graceful motions that left her feeling breathless and elated. As the drumming accelerated, Amina's feet flew faster. She leapt and spun with ease, weaving swift, elaborate steps that came to her instinctively. The rhythm seemed to flow through her, filling her with joy and vitality. With the stranger's admiring gaze holding hers, she felt liberated to fully express her love of dance. When Princess Amina finally stopped dancing, she and the smiling stranger held each other's gaze for a moment. Amina felt exhilarated from the joyful dancing and uplifted by the first time she had felt truly seen and accepted by someone. The two of them then suddenly started laughing together, connecting in their shared happiness. After they caught their breath, the young man told Amina his name was Hamid. He lived in the village nearby and played drums in the squares for events and celebrations. Hamid asked Princess Amina if she would meet him in the same spot in the bushes again tomorrow. He wanted to talk more and maybe play his drums for her to dance some more. His warm smile and enthusiasm made it clear he had greatly enjoyed their time together. Princess Amina shyly said yes. She would definitely meet Hamid here again tomorrow. Her heart felt fuller and lighter than it had in years. All her life she had been shunned and lonely due to her older issues, but this stranger had accepted her and even delighted in her dancing. Amina hurried home, her head spinning, still giddy from the exhilaration of truly being seen. She was overjoyed at having met someone who wanted to meet again. For the first time ever, she had made a real friend, and her heart swelled with optimism and excitement about their next meeting behind the bushes. In the coming weeks, Princess Amina's meetings with Hamid were the highlight of her days. Each afternoon, she would eagerly sneak away to their secret spot in the bushes, where Hamid would already be waiting with his drums. The two new friends enjoyed long, lively conversations, telling stories and jokes that had them laughing for hours. While they talked, Hamid often picked up his drumsticks and played energetic rhythms, which delighted Princess Amina and inspired her to dance with a freedom and joy she had never known. She let go of all self-consciousness about her lingering odor issues when around Hamid. He made her feel so accepted she was able to lose herself in the music. Her wild, uninhibited dancing enhanced their connection even more. When Amina twirled past Hamid, he looked at her with admiration for her spirit, her beauty, her essence. Over several weeks, their initial bond grew into a trusting, deep friendship and then budded into warm affection felt on both sides. As Princess Amina fell in love with Hamid and felt his equal caring for her in return, a part of her ached secretly because of their differing stations in life. He was a commoner and struggling musician, and she was a sheltered royal with obligations to marry well for political ties. She assumed a future together was impossible, though the princess wished desperately in her most private dreams that social status would not interfere and that they could be bonded in marriage. She had never felt so happy and accepted as she did with Hamid. One afternoon, as Princess Amina and Hamid sat closely talking and laughing as usual, he reached over and gently took both of her hands in his. His expression changed to become serious and full of emotion. Hamid told Amina that he cared for her deeply and wanted them to be together forever. He asked her to marry him, exclaiming his wish that their two villages could be joined through their union. Hamid said he didn't care about royal customs or getting permission, he only knew that being with Amina made him truly happy and he wanted them to build a life bonded in love. Princess Amina was overcome with surprised joy at his heartfelt proposal. She cried tears of happiness, having wanted nothing more than to be Hamid's wife but assumed it could never come to pass. Amina felt she didn't deserve such a wonderful man willing to overcome all social barriers to declare his unconditional love for her. In her excitement, Amina threw her arms around Hamid, whispering yes against his smiling lips as they shared a long, tender kiss. She had never imagined a love so freeing could be hers. When they finally pulled back, faces flushed and beaming with giddy smiles, the lovers made enthusiastic plans. Still high on new possibilities, the princess and the drummer boy agreed they must share the news immediately with King Akim to seek his blessing for their union. The nervous, excited pair walked together, holding hands, to the palace. Hamid, the humble drummer, declared his deep love for the princess and respectfully asked the king for his daughter's hand in marriage. King Akim was initially shocked and hesitant, but seeing how happy the union made Amina, he was moved. The king gave his blessing, stating that his daughter's happiness meant more to him than royal protocol. So it came to pass that Princess Amina and Hamid were joined in marriage. Their joyous union united their two villages in a bond of love and respect. The princess and her drama boy lived happily ever after, with Amina dancing freely by Hamid's side, embraced as a queen loved for her heart.